Happy Raid Day, Guardians. Today is August 26th, 2022. My name's Dan Finity, and welcome to Destiny Digest. First of all, thanks so much to everyone who is hopping into the show to learn about the news of Destiny 2. My sincerest hope is that this project helps both veterans and new folks alike find quality information and entertainment about a game that we all love. We have a bit to cover today, including a surprise panel that covers the reveal from this past Tuesday at the end, featuring some of my favorite folks in the Twitch content creation sphere, Bonafide Hero, Asefa, Mal Nightingale, and Tidley. Looking forward to sharing that with you all, but first, today, one of the most vile threats to our universe, Oryx the Taken King, returns to Destiny 2, and the reprised King's Fall raid, which launches at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern. Best of luck to everybody competing for the world's first title, and to those watching from home, I hope you have a lot of snacks ready. Competitors for the world's first title will have to complete the raid twice, one run for clear and one for all challenges complete, in order to claim the belt as their prize. All of this under the contest mode modifier that holds your Guardian power level to 1560, while each encounter scales higher and higher. You will need to be at power level 1560 to start the raid today. If you're interested in watching the action, there are so many folks live on Twitch and some tailgates hosted by OG King's Fall belt holder Professor Broman and Rek, as well as Zoe on their respective channels. Reminder, the King's Fall raid is free to play for all Destiny players. Speaking of free to play for all players, this started back on Tuesday with the Lightfall reveal, but you can still hop into the Destiny 2 expansions for free this week through next Tuesday. If you're new to the game or hopping in after a break, now is the perfect time to get caught up on the Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, and Witch Queen expansions while you can. A lot of amazingly useful weapons come from each of these expansions, and it's always good to get more meaningful loot, right? Heads up to all you Arc 3.0 Warlocks and Titans out there. If you're running the 100 max resilience stats on your builds, please be advised that you have not been receiving the 40% reduction to incoming damage from this stat since the launch of the Season of the Plunder. So if your builds have felt extra squishy, that may be the reason why. And now the panel for the Season 18 and Lightfall reveal. Some quick notes here. This panel with Seth, Bonna, Tidley, and Mal came about as a proposed live react for Tuesday, but due to schedule conflicts, worked out to be the first panel of the show, and I'm incredibly excited to share their insights with you. Panel episodes for the show will be every fourth episode in the future, so keep your eye out for the next one in episode 5. First of all, has everybody gotten to play the new Season of the Plunder? Have you guys gotten to play around with Arc 3.0? Are you having fun?
I love it. I love Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter got a lot of good things. I played a little bit, not much, but from what I've done, from what I've seen, I like it so far. Mm-hmm. We'll see.
I know, Tidley, you took off stream yesterday.
I did, but that was so I could enjoy it by myself.
Yeah.
Selfishly. So I'm a Titan main, and I have to say I need to get used to the charge melee, although it has a lot of potential to be really fun. One thing I really like is that there's this aspect, it's called Spark of Beacons, and essentially what it does is it blinds your opponents. So I've been using the new energy fusion rifle, which is phenomenal. It may be my favorite thing so far this season. And just leveling it up, I've been noticing using that with it just blinds everything, and it's like just so much fun. But awesome. Overall for Titan, like there isn't a ton that's different. I'm excited to see sort of the other aspects when they unlock and what kind of potential that opens up. It definitely feels less survivable than solar. I mean, like going from like a solar Titan build where everything is just like, oh my god, I'm being healed constantly, it's amazing, to being an Arc Titan is definitely a change. But I think I'm interested to see what happens with the other aspects.
They did mention that in previous TWABs, they did mention that it was going to be kind of like Crank, and I feel like it is definitely that. Like you are, you're just running it head first, attacking everything in sight. and it's freaking crazy.
Which is pretty much the Titan motto, isn't it? So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
fisting.
It was
Yeah,
W key.
That's what I always love about the descriptions. They've got this like all these romantic descriptions for the warlock and the hunter. They're like, oh, Emperor Palpatine, and the hunter's like, graceful, and then the Titan. They're like, yeah, they fist things. Like, yeah, pretty true. That's pretty true. That's what happens.
Yeah, it was. I was just having a lot of fun rushing around and like slamming my face into ads while wearing Dune Marchers. I have like a 108 stat roll Dune Marcher that Pablito saved from being destroyed back during one of my charity incentives. And so I've been running around with that, and I've been using Trinity Ghoul and just chaining lightning and clearing ads in rooms like nobody's business. There's nobody can stop me from clearing ads. Yeah. And as soon as that aspect pops up where destroying things with electricity gives you orbs, it's over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is who I'm going to be.
The future is now, old man.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the speed is really freaking fantastic.
Yeah.
I think anytime a game, especially like a PvP game, like pumps up the movement, that is just such a fun experience.
Yeah, when you're running on your other characters that are not maybe running arc builds now, it just feels so slow.
Feel it,
yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
There's a clear distinction between all sort of subclasses and sort of how they feel now, which is good.
I was gonna say I see no difference because I'm a hunter and we always have 100 mobility. Way fast anyway.
Okay. No, it's nice to see like how they've kind of given each subclass its own thing, its own kind of focus.
I don't know. Those hunters have stolen our Thunder Crash. They've just taken the Thunder Crash and added a stick to it. So
well,
made it into a Tesla coil.
I love it.
That's actually really cool, though.
It's like
it's
a
cool
high school project.
It is weird seeing everybody running around with arc buddies, though. I have to say, it's a little odd.
What we hunters do is just for field research. All right, it's field research.
Exactly.
Research. My God.
But going back to like what Tilly had said before about the sort of spark of beacons, I think watching that straight away and them mentioning it straight away and sort of reading it when they sort of told us they gave us a preview of a few of the fragments, everyone like knew straight away that'd be crazy whether you're doing reservoir burst on a arc fusion rifle. That's an explosion. That's 2 explosions right there. Right. I'm excited. There's another one called Spark of Brilliance that is going to come out when the raid is completed on Friday, Saturday.
What is that one about?
So it's one that's going to get unlocked, and basically, let me just read it, just so I'm not sounding like a. So Spark of Brilliance on the second page, and defeating a blinded target with precision damage creates a blinding explosion. Ooh. Pairing that with Spark of Beacon, which is, while you're amplified, your arc special weapon final blows create a blinding explosion.
Yep.
Go with me here.
Oh, yeah.
Cloud Strike.
Okay. Ooh.
Cloud Strike, Spark of Beacons, and Spark of Brilliance. I want to know. I don't think it will, but I want to see if there's going to be 3 explosions or a more powerful 3 times explosion that will go off with those 3. Where you get a precision special weapon arc kill whilst amplified with Cloud Strike.
That sounds fun.
Boom, boom, boom is what I'm thinking. So.
It's like
this is my boomstick.
So much fun with the new fusion rifle. It's just so much fun. Those 2 combined, I'm like going in and leveling it up and just like blinding 5 or 6.
Yeah, that's what someone else has said, because you can get precision shots with that as well. So
oh gosh, the new
imagine a bunch of thrall running at you and just precision shot, bang, 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 bang,
absolutely.
all within like 1 trigger pull.
Absolutely. It's so good for ad clear. It's really good.
They literally were like, everyone loved the blinding grenade launchers. What if we just made it into a subclass and just said, fuck everything?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get a blind. You get a blind.
Fucking phenomenal.
Well, they've already said to us, like with Strand, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. They're with the tether thing to basically Spider-Man. They're like, we were going to keep this as a hunter thing, and then we loved it so much for everyone that we just gave it to everyone. So
that's a good thing. I'm really happy to hear that.
That's great.
So circling back, when did everybody watch it from like the very beginning yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you guys saw that opening cinematic that did a fantastic job of just going through and explaining what the story of Destiny 2 had been up to this point, right?
I love those cinematics. I love those kind of like hand-drawn cinematics. And I prefer that to cutscenes, personally. I love these. And it's such a Destiny thing. And I'm so happy to keep bringing them.
It's
even in like
watch.
seasonal stuff. Yeah, it's so nice to see. And they bring it for like seasonal stuff too now. And it's I love it.
When did they start doing that? Was that Season of the Dawn with Saint 14 coming back? That's when they started doing those. It was like the Osiris sort of flashbacks.
Like the drawn ones?
The drawn cinematic sort of storytelling that they started doing.
I don't know.
Is that
For
when
the
they started
seasonal,
doing it?
I think it was.
Yeah.
But they've done the hand-drawn all of that. I believe from Destiny... No, wait. From Destiny 2 base?
Yeah. I want to say that they were very special. Like
the prologue and epilogue sort of things.
Yeah.
It was more like, let's say you did Destiny 1. It was shown your accomplishments in Destiny 1 to Destiny 2 when it first came.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
players who did Destiny 1, it showed when they completed a certain raid, when they completed a certain thing.
And who with.
You can still see that from the director, can't you? From the destination, so you can go back and watch that anytime. Yeah.
And so
you are right.
They've had that art style the entire time in Destiny 2, but they started doing those cutscenes maybe to save budget on the bigger 3D cutscenes.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, because
and getting the actors to come back in constantly as well, and they've proven sort of with everyone working from home that people can, like, voice actors just do everything from home.
Yeah.
But you do a cutscene, you have to like go and pay those actors to come back constantly, whereas you just get someone to do a voiceover and get a bunch of still images that change 3 frames over 10 seconds. So
it's got a storybook quality to it, and
it's amazing.
This one goes through and tells you the entire story up until now, or at least of new Guardians coming in and fighting like our old foes. It does a great job of introducing all that. Do they play that at the beginning of New Light campaign now? Because it does seem like they're touching it a little bit.
I think that might come with Lightfall, because the way they were talking, and we might come back to this later, but the way they were talking, it seems that with Lightfall, they're revamping a lot of the stuff, and I think they might also be revamping New Light, which desperately needs a revamp, in my opinion. And if that's kind of like, hey, you start the game, here's kind of this cutscene, like hand-drawn cutscene, giving you kind of an introduction to the game and the backstory of the game, because Red Wall's gone and a lot of these expansions are gone, and here's kind of like a quick overview, quick recap of what happened from the beginning of Destiny 2 to now. That'd be great. That'd be kind of like, here, this is what happened, this is what you're getting into, go.
Go. And like, we're going to have an infusion of new players coming in, especially from like the Epic store being coupled in, so like it makes sense to have that cutscene at the ready, especially with so many new people coming in. A couple of things to note before we dive in. They said last year they added 5 million new Guardians.
Yes.
That's insane.
That's awesome.
That's
that's the
amazing.
free to play.
Yep.
Probably some part of that. Yeah. Right.
Oh, 100. I think it's a free to play accounts. My question, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, I'm so sorry, but my question is, okay, 5 million new players. What's the retention rate?
Yeah.
And then first thing I thought was like, how many of those are like alternate accounts or like people who like try to create accounts
right,
to get
like
around
people-
cheating.
Yeah,
However,
people logging
Yeah.
in and doing trials on an
Yeah.
alt account or something.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
When did they
Yeah.
bring out the
Mhm.
sort of anti cheats? Was it
Witch
Witch Queen
Queen.
or was it
Witch
later
Yeah.
last year?
Yeah, Witch Queen.
Was
Right.
Witch- I
Yeah.
think it was Witch
So
Queen.
there's a very sort of strong possibility that a lot of those accounts were sort of created for the purpose of cheating. So
And like this
Could be.
this is shitty to say. Like we don't want to be like, hey, Debbie Downers, like, oh my god, but or negative Nancy's, but it's kind of like, oh, what is your retention rate and what are those like secondary,
Yeah.
third accounts, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
I'm-
I mean, I
I'd be
can't
curious to
imagine
see.
that the great majority of them are like, cheaters or people.
Yeah.
I would say in terms of retention, I think that's an interesting question, and I think
Mhm.
that has to do with some of the things that they discussed, and in terms of like what they're putting forward and introducing new players to the game. Because right now, I definitely think it's incredibly confusing. There's a lot going on.
Yes.
There's
100%.
and like I understand the video is supposed to explain the story, but some people don't care. Some people just
Yeah.
want to hop in and shoot aliens in the face, and that's what they
Yeah.
want to do. But I think that all of the menus, all the quest lines, even as a seasoned veteran who's been playing since right after the beta released, like it's still confusing for me. I'm like, well, where do I go? It's not linear, which to some extent is really positive. But for a new player coming in, there's a lot to know,
Yeah.
before you get in. And also I think that the seasonal distribution model, like people are also confused about, well, what do I buy and how much is it going to be? And what was worth getting? Like what's going to let me play with my friends? So I think even the free to play is a little confusing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have. I can't imagine that it's like. I can't imagine that like a quarter of those would be like cheaters though.
Yeah, I don't. I
think.
I agree. I don't think it's that
that's,
many.
Like, those accounts would probably be on the lower end. Yeah, or they'd have like an asterisk next to
Right,
5 million.
right.
Like
Yeah.
I'm sure they exist.
I would assume so.
But yeah.
But in terms of retention, I think it's an interesting question, and I think for me, the reason I keep picking up the game is connection to other people.
Yeah.
And I think that's
100%.
something they absolutely addressed, and I'm really excited about the integration of LFG
Yes.
directly into the game.
Mhm.
I think that's absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
Because I think if you're talking about retention, that's literally the best way to do it.
Yeah.
At least for me, because the social aspect, especially as a female gamer, is
Mhm.
incredibly
Mhm.
important. To know that I have like a non-toxic atmosphere of people who are supportive and friendly, like, and
To go
like-minded.
with that,
Like
you've
it's
got the
yeah.
ranking system, so you're going to be able
Yeah.
to see like
Yeah, that's
what
interesting,
other
right?
people have to say about those people. So
yeah, exactly.
you've basically when you order an Uber and sort of who's coming up to you and their rating beforehand, sort of what sort of player. Like I think you used to have that on Xbox with like the
Mhm.
the sort of good quality, but like bad quality or like needs improvement. I think it used to say
Yeah.
or whatever. It's that sort of vibe there. So 100% like where you say that, Tedley, like you can be prepared sort of going into that with who you may be dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
I have reservations about that. I don't know if you want to delve into this right now fully or if
You
you
know
want to
what?
keep going later.
Freeform it.
It's up to you.
We're good.
Okay, that's fine with me. That's okay. I just want to make sure because I was like, oh,
Yeah.
let's keep like track of what's happening, but that's fine. I have reservation in the sense that we know the Destiny 2 community. It has
Yeah.
its amazing awesomeness and it also has kind of its dark sides.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to some level of some abuse by people out of that, right? I don't know how the system's going to work. It's interesting. The nice side of it, it seems that there's no negative
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
commendations, which is great.
Right,
That's amazing.
Well, that's what
But at the
reporting's
same
for,
time-
right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That already
yes,
exists in the
100%.
system. Yeah.
But still, like let's keep in mind, for example, I'll take Overwatch for example. There's a
Mhm.
commendation system within the game already. It's very simple, it's very basic, but it works. The commendation system cannot be abused by your friends. Because if
Mhm.
you're friend with someone, you cannot say like, hey, that person was a good player. Not even
Yeah.
once
Fair.
a day.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Now I'm wondering, will that be a thing in Destiny also? Or will it just be, no, you can abuse it. Like you can do a bunch of activities with your friends and they can just give you the best recommendations,
Yeah,
even though
yeah.
you technically might not be that type of person.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to explain it better.
I would like to think that they would have thought of that, and if not, then one thing I really like is that they're incredibly responsive to community feedback.
Possibly,
I mean, look at how fast they took grenade launchers out of the game. I mean, they're just gone.
Yeah.
They, a couple YouTubers put up there, they were buffed by 150 to 250%. The next day, gone out of the game. So, especially something as critical as a feedback system for gamers, I would imagine if they don't consider that, which I think they will, that they would get the immediate feedback and change it because it's something that's important.
By the looks of it, is you have an after-action report after the game.
Yeah.
Right after a match you play with someone, then you can see this, and then you can provide feedback. Obviously, you can dismiss that and move on. It's probably going to be a lot of that. A lot of people aren't going to sort of do that.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, it didn't look like there was
and PvE. Sorry,
it is for PvP and PvE.
Like any activity you sort of run.
Yeah, we can kind of go into that too because I think it's interesting. But it's each thing like. So there are 4 categories that we saw: ally, fun, mastery, and leadership. And they all have different cards that are attached to them that are only available during certain activities.
Okay.
Like Saint's Favorite under the fun category, that's only available during trials.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So like you have those that are more in action for one activity. The one that they didn't show a lot of was under the mastery section. There was pace setter, heroic, and then the last 2 were not shown, and heroic kind of got skipped over real quick. Okay. So I don't know if
maybe
they did
more
that on
work
purpose.
to do. Yeah.
But for me, this kind of feels like this feels more tied to what they were trying to do with guided games a little bit.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like rather than trying to re-up the game on that and be like, here's guided games 2.0, they're just giving
let's
us
try this
something
again.
entirely different. Yeah.
Let's try this for the
third time.
Yeah.
The third time.
But the way that it looks to work, I'm fairly impressed with how in depth at least Guardian ranks are, and then commendations. Like, I would hope that it would only be available during LFG experiences. I would hope that it wouldn't be available for one of us picks up a stream and we just launch in and you could farm that rep that way.
I don't think that's gonna happen because if Overwatch can do like an easy where it's like you can't commendate your friends, exactly. They're gonna do that. Now my question is like, especially for, as all of us know, most of us here like to do help. We like to do helps.
Yeah.
So would people who are well known in the community who already do helps automatically get like something unlocked? Because I know Bungie can turn that on easily. Because
I don't think so.
It would probably be day and date at lunch, right?
Well, it's also like, think about it this way. Okay, a lot of people do helps. Yes, that's amazing. But at the same time, wouldn't it be better to say like, hey, you get them as you do helps, not Bungie giving you like a special thing, if that makes sense. It's also a lot of finagling of like, oh, they have to go to each account. They have to make sure that it's your account, go to each account and unlock it, quote unquote. That's a lot of work that I don't think they want to put into that. Whereas if you say like, okay, we'll do raid helps today, and then the people that are not on your friends list that you help go through whatever activity it is that they need, then you can say like, hey, if you want to commend me, let me know. But at the same time, it kind of feels, I don't know, it kind of feels weird. I hope that people would just do it or not do it based on however they feel.
I don't less, honestly, but
no, I know, but you know what I mean? I don't think they'll go and unlock it for community or content creators. Yeah.
The Guardian ranks, I'd be interested to see if they make everybody go through the Guardian ranks like from the beginning once Lightfall begins, or if it marks that, oh, you did like a GM Nightfall, you're already in this category. If that would be a thing. But for
like it's available.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you don't have to start from zero if you're an experienced player.
Right.
That would be pretty onerous
I
if they did that.
I think they'll
I don't
make
think
us
they're
start
gonna do that.
from zero, like straight away, and we'll have to work towards sort of
Yeah, I
everything.
believe so.
Just like a brand new seal.
Yeah.
All that. So that's what I think will happen there. I would like to see there's obviously a few of us that sort of bring peeps in from our sort of communities and from our streams. And whether they're friends or not, I'd still like to see them sort of be able to leave feedback. And if there's like some sort of point system that you don't just get a rank, but it's like however many people, and once you've voted, you can't vote again. So
it's like one-time friend type of thing.
Yeah, one-time sort of thing like that. I would like to see that because I'd like to do it for my friends. I like sort of people that I sort of run things through and help get stuff done all the time, for them to leave feedback on me. I wanna really dig into this, like when this comes out. I wanna, straight away I want to aim for the sort of top % of being a guide and all that. I think that's bloody amazing, and I think it's got a lot of stuff to it. But maybe with the LFG system, maybe that's sort of where it unlocks and all that. But people who do like trials, and if people have like a good experience with a carry in trials, or whether it's a raid or whatever, or it's just a random blueberry that you do an activity with in a random match made, and they were doing sort of really well, and you just like, oh yeah, I saw that guy kicking butt in this match, so let me give him a thumbs up. I'd love to see that sort of thing. So I just think it's going to be something completely fresh that we can all work towards, and I think it's going to be a really positive thing by looks of it, and I would have very higher hopes for it being a very positive thing going forward.
It's nice to have kind of the goal orientation of the game towards being nice and helpful.
Yeah.
Instead of just getting loot. Oh wait, I can actually grind being a helpful guardian and being nice to new guardians. Wow, that actually is going to actually benefit me in the game.
Yeah,
that was very much the vibe of what they sort of started, and where they had all those sort of peeps standing there looking all epic. Gamma Girl Grey was there. I'm sorry, I can't remember sort of any other names.
Aki and Peach.
Aki and Peach were bloody kicking butt there. So
Steve
they started off talking about helping each other out. Now they help other peeps out. And Grey telling her story, that was very much the vibe of helping people through, helping your friends through, and working on that retention rate and bringing people into the community new, and bringing people back to be less overwhelming, be less, play who you want, with who you want, when you want, how you want. So, and just all inclusive, very positive sort of vibes from that.
Yeah. That another thing that comes from that, this was in the conversation, Joe Blackburn said this to D in the conversation after the reveal. But so there's going to be several levels that you can unlock just by playing activities, just by helping people out. And then there's going to be a few levels at the end that are just strictly about that commendation level too.
Okay.
After you've already proven your mastery over the game, just that are they a cool hang? It's basically what those extra levels are.
Right. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
is it something that you'd have to maintain, or you lose over time if it doesn't sort of be maintained, or every season if you don't get a certain amount, it sort of goes down? Is that a possibility, or is that spoken about, or is it once you've got it, you've got it?
I
don't think they spoke about that. Yeah. No, static, but not quite. In my opinion, it would mirror the current Triumph stuff, where you get the base stuff, and then every season you have to guild it. So maybe you get base level commendations, and then every season with new activities you can quote unquote guild it. I don't know how to call it better than that, but something like guilding that to refresh your rank, or something similar to this, I think. I would assume.
I think it's a great change. I always feel like you want to reward the behavior you want to see. It's Pavlovian almost. You're basically saying, hey, you do this, you're nice, you help guardians, You're a good teammate. We're going to give you a treat, right? So we're basically training Guardians to be nice, which is great.
Yeah.
So
we need more of that.
Yeah, but I like that. It's something like concrete to kind of work towards. Yeah. So hopefully it'll be successful. But it's basically, remember they did this really recently, that you're a nice Guardian emblem.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, well, how do you earn that? That's so cool. I want one. This is kind of like a concrete way of saying, hey, this is literally how you get to people to know that you're a nice Guardian, you know.
And remember,
it would be cool if they gave the nice emblem out to people who got max rank or something like that, but because that's literally a reward for the behavior you want to see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they also need to remember too, just because you acted nice and got it, they can still take it away.
Yeah.
You can take away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people forget that they can take emblems away. They're like, I got it, so what are they gonna do? I don't know, delete it from inventory? They have the code.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
I know.
I mean, I feel like that's like Steph was saying, it's kind of hard to go into individual accounts and do that. Like if they were doing that, it would probably be to set an example or something.
It would have to be pretty egregious.
They've done it before.
Egregious.
They did.
Yeah. They've done it before for.
There's one less. Day one,
Last Wish Raider.
Oh yes.
We're not gonna name names, but they've done it in the past.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they will do it again. And I think it's kind of a way to set examples in some ways of saying like, hey, like this is a way to celebrate your attitude in game.
Yeah.
Well, it's less achievement and more like your attitude in game at this point. Commendations for me is more attitude. Like, here's a way to celebrate it, but if your attitude becomes bad, let's call it that.
Toxic,
yeah, we can take that away. Like this is definitely not like fully static in that regard. Like this can be removed from you. This can be taken away from you.
Yeah.
So
that whole thing, because I know there were conversations around recent conversations about positivity. This is going off topic, but like at least within the community, that kind of emblem, I could see like just kind of putting a target on your back though too. Like,
no, for sure.
Let them
I totally see that.
Let them
come.
I'll be so nice to them. They won't even know what hit them.
So many cheeks.
Your hair looks so nice today. I hope your mom baked you cookies.
I've got all you want out of life. You to turn.
Come at me, bro. I will hug you. I can hug you.
hug.
But we're already in quality of life changes, which I think is like
yes.
So mods and loadout manager will be added in as well directly into the game, so you can.
I need you to hit that nut button.
About that.
Yeah,
Bana has feelings about this.
Feelings in his pants, I think. Actually,
the way that they talked about building that out is that it was kind of directly influenced by how they did the appearance changes. And so that was kind of like the stepping stone.
We're going to have transmog and our loadouts in the same sort of sector.
Possibly.
Well, it looked like, it was a controller, so it was on the D-pad. So maybe we'll have arrows right on the on the sort of inventory page. So, on the left side, it could look like there was it was the loadout. On the right side of the screen, it looked like it could be transmog. So I'd have to go back and sort of look at that a little bit more closely. I've been meaning to do that, but it's all there. It's all in one sort of central place. So they're making things simple. They're cleaning up the UI, literally making things sort of so clean by centralizing everything that you need and adding what we need. So and what people have been begging for. So,
I think one thing that Bungie does really well is they pay attention to like third-party applications that do things for players that are really popular.
Do things well, yes.
Yeah, so I feel like there's a couple things. Like the LFG community obviously is a pre-existing situation in Destiny and it's been used for years. And integrating into the game, I think that's like a plus factor for players because it's right there and it's accessible and that's fantastic. I think that the loadout builder, that's something that Dim actually just recently upgraded and made fantastic. So I watch them doing this and I'm like, well, part of me is kind of like, well, you're copying their homework. But then another part of me is like, well, that's kind of fantastic that they actually pay attention to what's going on, to what players are actually using outside of the game, to what would be helpful and useful to people in the game. And they're actually taking that and integrating it. So I love that about them. I think that it's going to be so helpful to have those dim loadouts now actually inside the game where you can save it there and access it super easily. So I'm excited about it. I think it's great.
I think it's going to be interesting. And I was in a stream today. I was in Pigeon stream today, and people were saying like, "Oh, it's going to replace Dim," and I'm like, "No, I don't think so."
No,
because Dim has like the capability of having, I think, almost unlimited amounts of loadouts, whereas in game I think you have like 5 or
Stream
6.
Deck
I don't
plugin.
remember.
It looks like 5. Yeah.
Also,
Stream Deck plugin.
Dim now has a Stream Deck plugin. They tweeted about that yesterday.
Stream Deck.
Like,
that's exciting.
Randomized loadouts for those fun custom game nights.
Yep.
You can do that.
Challenges.
You can also like save your own loadouts in the Stream Deck, and like you can click on a button and it changes everything. So Dim has this kind of like, it's way bigger. Like it has more things, and I think that they'll just complement each other. Like the loadouts you use a lot, the ones you're like, okay, this is something that I use a lot all the time for like PvE stuff, or here's my PvP.
It's convenience.
Yeah, it's
You don't have
inside
to
the game.
click out
It's convenient.
for a quick change. So
exactly. So I think they'll be complementary in that regard.
Something Joe Blackburn was also saying in that interview was that like he specifically said, I think it'll be useful for content creators, because if somebody is like, oh, I don't know what to run, like what should I do? And they can just like go, okay, well, this is a build that I normally tell people to use. Blink and like just screen cap it and then send it on.
Yeah, you can do that with Dim with a link actually. So but I mean, it's like it's the same thing. It's going to be really easy in the game. So
standardize things too. You know, it makes it like, here's this thing, everybody has it. If you're in the game, you have access to see how it is. And here's a standardized format for content creators to showcase or to share their build, saying like, here's what it is in game. I mean, Dim does it, yes, absolutely. But
how many people use Dim? Well, I mean, a large portion of the community uses
a large
Dim.
portion. But at the same time, think about it. New lights, they may not know about them. I remember coming to Destiny and people telling me, oh, use Dim. And I'm like, what the hell is Dim? Like, what is this? And then I'd have to be shown that. And like, you know, the armor picker, D2 armor picker, the checklists and all of these things, they're great tools to use outside of the game that I don't think would fit inside of the game. But you have to be shown that. You have to be taught how to use them. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, exactly. Now this way it's like, oh, you can actually do loadouts. Okay, in game. Oh, I want more. Here's another tool that you can use.
I don't think it's going to replace the depth of what happens in Dim, but I definitely think it's going to introduce people to the idea of loadouts and saving loadouts, which is going to only benefit them if they want to take that deeper dive and go into Dim and do, you know, custom mods and like,
absolutely so
much. Yeah.
It's like, you know, I only really use it like once a year when a new expansion comes out, but you can basically see where you're lagging in your weapon, like your weapon and gear leveling by hovering over sort of what's sort of falling behind. So it's great for that. It's great for sort of seeing what, you know, is community voted for weapons. If it gets a thumbs up or a thumbs down or anything like that, you can really go into that. And then obviously there's nothing in the game from your menu to drag things from your vault or other characters. So, you know, that's the big main purpose of Dim, and that's never gonna sort of go away.
You also have to keep into consideration everything that I think this year or mid-year last year to now, Dim has been integrating itself to, you know, D2 checklist, to D2 armor picker, to like all of these things where it's like, oh, you want to check and make a build, you go to D2 armor picker, and then they're like, okay, this is the build that I want. You can copy that, put it in Dim, and it highlights all the pieces you need. Yeah, which is fantastic. And D2 checklist, you're like, oh, I want to clean my vault. I use that all the time to clean my vault. You go through there, you look at all of your weapons of this, like the same type of weapon, and you can say, okay, junk this, keep that, so on and so forth. And that from D2 checklist will transfer over to Dim, so you can go back to Dim and be like, tag junk, clean out everything. Right? So it's all of these things that Dim now does that I don't ever see being able to be added easily in the game. Maybe it will one day, but not right now. And it integrates into so many other tools that people use. It's amazing now. Like, it's such a great thing. So it's amazing to have some quick loadouts and some quick mod overview in game, but I don't think it will replace what Dim does. It just does too much.
I almost wonder if at some point in the future, this is all pure conjecture. I almost wonder if at some point in the future, like Bungie reaches out to like the Dim, the Chalice Recipes people, like all of them are like, hey, so we got this Sony money.
Right, yeah.
Why don't we just host this here? And that way, like on their website, and that way you could be able to, as kind of like a hub.
Yeah.
Like,
honestly, I'm more surprised they haven't.
Lightfall. Yeah.
Well, it's a question of integration and everything, but
yeah,
they do showcase them a lot. That's a really cool thing also about Bungie, you know, like they say, hey, here are maybe things we in-game are lacking, but here's a way you can kind of alleviate the situation on your side as a player. Here's like really cool tools that the community has built. Because like, let's be honest, it's really nice that Bungie does share that API, and it's an API that can do a lot. When you look about like moving stuff in game, changing the mods, getting the builds, all of that, this is fairly new technically.
Yeah.
But this is great that the API is that good and that they can definitely use the API and make these great tools that we all use so often.
Yeah.
Maybe they will, but I don't know how that would integrate, you know? We'll see.
Don't do that with Fortnite.
Everybody's an armchair dev. Everybody's an armchair dev.
Yeah, but they can make Zavala dance now. That's pretty exciting.
Oh my god.
I want to
feel
see
safe
more
on
of
the
it.
internet anymore.
So with that, I mean, like with all of these quality of life changes, it really seems like they're diving deep into the systems that make the game more of an MMO. Like a lot of these things have been criticisms of Destiny as maybe not being a true MMO, and this pushes them into the realm of, okay, well, what are we missing then? Like, just checking boxes to be in that field, which like is cool. It was cool when it was like an MMO light or whatever, but this feels more connective, and I'm very hopeful for it.
Yeah, I hope it works better than guided games. I really do.
Yeah. Oh, please. Guided games is a mess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it was a great idea. A really good idea.
Yeah.
Great in theory.
Theoretically, yeah.
There's a lot of things in Destiny that are great in theory, and the implementation kind of lacks a bit.
But I love that about Bungie generally, is that they're not afraid to try something completely new.
Oh, 100%.
Take risks. I mean, look at Trials. Trials has not always been in the game. It was a huge risk, and it turned out to be one of the most popular PvP game modes that they put out. But it was an experiment. A successful one. I think that's what they do well. I think they it's not just game modes. I think that, you know, in terms of user experience, like UI, all of that, I think that they throw things against the wall and see if they stick. And if they do, great. And if they don't, then maybe they need to let go of them. Gambit. I'm sorry.
Wow. That's a strong one.
Daniel, please strike that from the record.
Silver Spear out of business? Is that what you're trying to do?
You're going to strike that from the record.
No, but
all I can hear now.
We do have to commend Bungie for that. Like it doesn't always work. It doesn't always go the way they plan. Yes. But they do try.
They really
try.
Do. They're creative.
And that's commendable. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
One of the things, this is going to be a smooth transition. Watch this.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, boy.
Segue us,
One
baby.
of the things that was an experiment, something that they were just kind of toying with, was the grappling hook.
Oh,
with the strand abilities for Hunter. And then they were like, we'll just give it to every class. See how smoothly that moved in to this.
Yeah. But the more you talk about it, the less smooth it becomes.
You know what? It is
you're
so
really
smooth.
Breaking
it's
the wall
smoothest.
down, Dan.
It is the Jif
you are
creamy peanut butter
on the wall, Dan. It was good to start.
Smooth transitions.
You started well, and then
boy howdy, just check out how smooth that transition was. But so we had the reveal of Lightfall, the next expansion coming to Destiny 2 on February 28th, 2023. So mark your calendars. And there's a whole bunch of new stuff in there. We have a new super.
A lot.
The Strand Super Cosmic Web. Or the Strand Super that they described as kind of like a cosmic web that connects everybody to everything, and you're kind of pulling at the strings of reality in order to make things happen. It has a grappling hook ability. And they did say that at some point there will be legendary and exotic strand weapons added into the mix.
Kind of like they did with Stasis, sort of after a little while.
Oh, that's true. They added those slowly.
How would that work? Oh my god!
We just had that grenade launcher to start, remember? And then
maybe like tethering damage with other strand weapons, like with your fights. Oh, I'm excited.
That'll be interesting.
We're all little itsy bitsy spiders and just forming our webs.
I mean, literally.
Yeah. We're catching our prey.
The super itself reminds me of like Green Lantern Corps stuff. Like that's immediately what I thought, because they were like, "Oh, you get to play around with it. It's the first thing. Like you're the first person to ever get to play with it, so you get to kind of shape it and mold it into what it becomes."
Here's what they say in the news the news release, right, or the press release, if you want. So they say the power of Strand. Lightfall introduces a brand new subclass element in Strand. Tap into the invisible threads that bind reality, then grab hold and take control. Harness the power of Strand in ways never seen in Destiny 2, from weaving powerful attacks to pulling off incredible new mobility options. Grapple anyone. So they're very quiet about it for now. But I'm also thinking, is that also going to tap into all the poison weapons that we have? Thorn, Osteos Trigger. Like this has never been really expanded more than what we currently have. But is that going to tie into Strand also, or is that just going to be completely separate still?
Right.
So because it's technically Strand is going to be a darkness subclass, isn't it? So it's going to be the second darkness subclass that we have after Stasis, and we know very little about it other than what we've seen in the trailer and the mobility option and so on and so forth.
So will we get a third one then, just to kind of like round it off? Like we get 3 in the light and then we get 3 in the dark.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. I wonder why this one is. Well, I mean, I guess like Stasis isn't like good or evil. It's just whoever uses it.
It's a tool.
Yeah,
exactly.
And so like it being a darkness. Okay, yeah, I can see that. I don't know. Like I could see them retroactively going back and be like, "Hey, we're going to give you Necrochasm and it's a strand weapon now."
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I see them as different. I think the only thing they have in common is that they're green. Like Kermit. They're green. Yeah,
they're Kermit.
I mean, I don't. I think that if they introduce poison, they should introduce it as a separate subclass.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that. Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, is that what they're going to do, or is it going to keep it separate and then say, like, oh, poison's going to become the third darkness?
I see. I find that more believable than saying that there's an integration between Strand and like product
I
abilities.
agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. But it is very cool. I think, like I said before, anything that introduces additional movement into a game that has PvP is so fun. I think my only concern is kind of the concern that I had with Stasis is this sort of the CC aspects of Strand. I don't know to what extent there is that like where you can stop opponents or like capture them in a web or whatnot, because that was essentially the worst part of Stasis and why it made PvP so oppressive. So I'm just hoping that that's something that's taken in consideration when they release it, that if there is a CC aspect to it, if you're tethering opponents or whatnot, that it's something that's not so oppressive as Stasis, so it really upsets the PvP community.
Right.
I mean, every new subclass that comes out always comes out very strong.
And I want that. I think that's great. I want it to be
I agree with that.
Insane and so fun. I don't want them to make everybody in PvP mad and hear about it on Twitter for months.
No, I know. No, but here's the other thing that's been really nice to see happening and hear about happening, I would say, recently, is this kind of division of the sandboxes, where they're like, oh, we're keeping this in PvE as like very strong ability or very strong weapon, but we're reducing it in PvP so that it's not this insane, crazy things that people hate. And that's really cool. I'm really happy that Bungie is finally doing that, because for the longest of time, that wasn't a thing, right?
Yeah,
whatever
they were
was
like,
the
we have
sandbox.
this fantasy where, you build up this character, you acquire these weapons, and the fantasy is that everything feels the same no matter what you're doing. Yeah. And I don't think that this needs to be the case. I think that they've done a great job of separating it out to make the player experience better in PvP. I think
that's pretty cool. Yeah. Exactly. And that's really nice to see. So I'm thinking, right off the gate, it'd probably be a little bit too strong because that's what always happens. Like, I mean, that's fun. Like, that's part of it. We've kind of, with all the new subclasses coming out every season for the last 3 seasons, I think we're kind of used to being like, okay, this is way too strong, but we know that down the line they'll tweak it and they'll adjust and they'll make sure that things are more balanced. Especially now that we have like all the subclasses now, at least the ones that are currently out, they're all out. So now they can fully balance everything. Hopefully this season, towards the end of the season, or by Lightfall, at least all of the old subclasses will be balanced between each other, and then it'll be just the crazy new strand one that's just stupidly strong.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I agree. I hope that it's not overpowering to the extreme of like your Twitter feed is just PvP players complaining about it.
Yeah.
They're going to complain regardless, unfortunately.
I mean, they will.
But on the other hand, I think there's a potential for Strand to be absolutely so much fun in PvP.
Yeah.
I
agree.
I think one of the things that made Destiny 1 PvP so much fun was movement. I think that bringing Hunter Blake back is really exciting for PvP. I think that, remember Titan skating in Destiny 1? That was so much fun to watch and to play. So something that introduces a whole lot of movement into the game, I think that's going to be so exciting to watch that in PvP. So I think as long as that's the focus, and the focus isn't let's like stop people and hold them still and all of that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's still acceptable in moments, like big moments, like when you're using your super, or like, you know, on an ability that has a high cooldown. But I think like having it be a constant situation, you know, feels really painful. So
yeah. I agree. One of the things that I've been thinking about is, you know, like, oh, you can grapple, you can kind of like swing around like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's going to be, I think, like Neomuna, the new destination, is going to be great for that. It's going to be built with the idea of like, you need to go high and low and move around in places where your regular jump's not going to work. Now, what's going to happen with the old destinations?
Well,
like,
that's something that I was kind of like, I was thinking, oh, so this new ability, you're going to be able to grapple around, but it'll probably be like location locked. And like,
we'll see, but if they do that, that kind of kills the fantasy.
Right.
Well, right.
And somebody said later, they were like, oh, this actually, the video that they're showing is on a different location. And this is like, it's probably not location locked at all. That was my first like reaction to it when seeing it. And then my friend Mr. Dunes, who's in current meta, he said, he was like, I wonder if this is part of the reason why they changed aerial effectiveness.
Oh, interesting. That's a good question. That might tie into it. I would assume it ties into it, because think about it this way: by the grappling, you give every subclass a similar ability and a similar movement that Hunter has currently. You know, being able to jump so high. It's not going to be a jump technically with this. It's going to be you grapple, you get higher, but it's going to be the idea of like you can do what hunters currently do with the double jumping. And I'll think about PvP right now, you know, oh, you go high and most of your enemies don't think to look up. Right. But now like every subclass is going to have that ability to go high and make everybody look up. So yeah, I would assume it's related to it. But
you know, it would be really cool if they remember in Destiny 1, they had those dead ghosts that you could like basically climb to high locations and find. And it was kind of this fun extra thing. It really engaged players in kind of exploring different parts of the map and like places that, you know, you might not ordinarily go. I would love if they put in sort of current existing locations, places that you were not able to get to before, then added some kind of like discoverable there, like whatever it was, you know, that you could kind of collect, and then it would encourage people to use this sort of new grappling ability to explore pre-existing areas. I think that'd be so much fun.
Amazing. I would love that. They did that in Destiny 2. Well, not quite that, but something very similar in Destiny 2 when it came out. Like you would go around a tower and like look at different objects.
Oh yeah.
You would scan the environment, and you had like I don't know if there was a triumph related to it, but you could track it and you could get all of these things. I think most of them are gone now, unfortunately. But that was something that I really enjoyed as a new player, to kind of go around and listen to a bunch of different, let's call it lore or story bits and pieces here and there that you would do. And that'd be great, like to bring back the ghosts or something slightly different and put them in and places in the environments that you did not have maybe access to before. Or that would be like very difficult, and just be like, hey, go grab that. And hey, you can go there now. It would encourage exploration,
which is part of why the game is fun. You know, and you wouldn't have to do it like, you know, as part of the main mission. It's like that. It's like one of those things that it's like, oh, here's
side quests.
Here's little fun things that you can do.
Side quests.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. There's so many.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. No, I think that'd be a cool idea. But I'm hoping that they take advantage of the idea of, oh, you can move like high now. You have more verticality.
Yeah.
And add to the maps. Like think about this. Okay. The EEZ, right?
Mm-hmm.
The EEZ, that's this amazing vertical map that I'm not going to talk about this year's version. Let's talk about previous year's version.
Yeah.
Where we could go into the buildings, and you had to go high to kill some enemies. You had to go inside buildings to kill some enemies. Imagine if they added that to Destiny. Right, where you had way more interaction, both vertically but also inside of the environment, other than just open spaces. The open spaces in Destiny are beautiful, but it's one of those things that we don't have much of, which is inside locations, in like buildings and stuff like that.
In that regard, which
they're very limited.
It seems like even better. The new location that we'll be getting with Lightfall.
Yes.
Neomuna, which is being invaded by Callus.
And his Shadow Legion.
Legion. And the new Tormentors that seem to be like some sort of like world boss sounding kind of enemies. It seems like we'll be moving through a city that is live and active during this campaign. So I could see there being more nooks and crannies and more depth,
more open world, not so linear.
Yeah,
I hope so.
You know, maybe more sort of. You know, you see it in patrols where different enemy types are fighting each other, and you know, we've even seen it recently with like Red Jacks bloody going up, or even the Awoken fighting off our enemies. So you know, there could be this new. What's the new ally race called?
The Clouds. Well, they're like a branch of humanity.
Yeah.
That escaped during the collapse.
Yeah, but they've been there in the entire time. Yeah. So you know, we may have like pockets of them like all over the place and be able to interact with them. Sort of fighting them off. Same sort of thing like we've got on you know, the Dreaming City. So it could be very much like that. And different stuff.
What's interesting about Neomuna is that they are protected by the Cloud Striders, which are basically two people that have volunteered to protect the city, and they're basically as from the sounds of it, they're as powerful as a Guardian, but they've traded in their mortality for that power. Like they traded in so that they're only able to live 10 years, and there's two of them at each time. Going through it's teams of two sacrifice mortality. They're Joe Blackburn called them a mirror for our Guardian.
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, that's just so interesting story wise, especially after getting sort of the Zavala's story told more intimately this season, and how he's experienced his own lack of mortality, and you know, as a Guardian going through and experiencing love and experiencing loss, sort of just the absolute just being tired of all of it, you know, and like, and then what's that like, you know, because I really did love the story this season. I love how it made Zavala more human and more accessible. But like that idea, you know, like having a really long life and what that feels like as a Guardian being immortal, as kind of a foil to the idea of, you know, choosing to only live a short amount of time, and what how that experience is. I think that's really fascinating story wise.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be really interesting.
I agree.
So yeah, we have that. The Tormentor. Yeah, the Tormentors are like a new pyramid unit. They are apparently will just kind of like appear out in amongst the city, and they're these hulking behemoths. At least in the game art that was shown, Guardians seem to only come up to about their knee.
That's actually so cool.
And
yeah,
they were described as like a Grim Reaper class. So they have like a scythe attack as well as one where they can close the distance on you and pull you in.
Ooh.
It just
heck yeah.
It seems like every good story has like, or I guess like every, maybe not good story, every like Joseph Campbell style story.
Oh my God.
Good clarification, yeah.
Yeah, it has your hero going through some tribulation in order to meet a threshold, right? And
yes,
so
yes.
This, to me, watching this feels like, oh, we're going to hit that threshold again.
Yep.
Almost like when we took on the Red Legion originally.
Yep. Mm-hmm. What does that say? To write a good story, you have to put your characters through hell?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You mean like Saiyans from Dragon Ball? They only get stronger when they get the shit beat out of them?
Yeah, right.
But it'll be interesting because that's something that people have kind of complained about. The fact that it seems that the game is quote unquote too easy now. Maybe not too easy, but it's much easier than it used to be back in the day.
Right.
I remember doing public events on destinations and they were not easy to complete. And now most of them you can solo, right?
Yeah.
Which is okay. That's not a bad thing. It's just more like, oh, what's the hard or what's the thing that you kind of, just yeet yourself at to see where you stand in regards of your play style and your play in the game. Loose and Hive was, I think, a good start to that, but there were so little of them throughout the campaign.
Yeah.
Right? There were a few, but I think a lot of us were kind of just, oh, they're really cool enemy type, but we didn't face that many, and after the campaign is over, some of them roam through the Throne World, but there's not, like, they don't really exist outside of that, which
you don't meet them in numbers that are like astronomical,
terrifying.
We have champions in the game, which provides difficulty. I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't get me started on champions. Do not get me started on champions.
Conversation for another day.
Yes,
okay, I'm moving on.
Is. No, but
Speaking of champions, King's Fall is the new raid.
Oh, good save.
Hey. Oh my God.
No way.
Oh my
No one saw that coming.
Oh my God.
But quick note before we jump over there, they did say that starting now, there will be no more expansion sunsetting.
Yes.
In Destiny.
But this begs the question.
Yeah. No
more sunsetting? Does that, because it didn't talk about that in any way, shape, or form, does that mean that we're getting back the old destinations at some point?
Probably not.
Yeah. This is such a waste, in my opinion, because they talked about the content vault, right? Okay, content vault. That means that you're going to bring it back here or there. I feel like saying, oh, no more sunsetting, great, but bring back the old stuff also?
Yeah.
I
don't know. For me,
like, story-wise, to bring back the old stuff, it just wouldn't work. Or if they brought it back, they bring it back in the way of Leviathan, where it's half there but not in the same context, and it's changed, right? They've taken away this content because it has gone with the changing story, so it's no longer relevant to the future of Destiny. So
I'd argue not quite so, because you look at Devil's Lair, you look at Vogue, you look at all of these old pieces of content.
But then you look at why those are still here, because we're not replaying those strikes over and over and over again. We're not constantly going back to redo them. It's basically a moment in time. It's us meditating on past events that we've sort of done to basically rerun. So it's I get what you're saying. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But like when you sort of look at it, that's why that content is still there, because we're like replaying it within ourselves, sort of thing. So,
but I'm also thinking they're saying, "Oh, Destiny 2 is not going away, like not going anywhere," right? So maybe down the line, I'm not saying like next year, I'm not saying like now, but maybe they will, hopefully, for me at least, hopefully bring it back and just say like, here's Destiny 2 from beginning to end, and everything is encompassed in the game, similar to like World of Warcraft. And I don't know much about World of Warcraft, I'll be quite honest with you, but I know that most of the story is still within the game. They talked about engine updates, right? Which is a reason why they're saying no more sunsetting. So I'm hoping.
You know what? I would like for it to be in the game. I don't think it happens. I think what we see instead is a monkey paw trade-off of last-gen consoles.
That will happen anyway.
It will happen anyway, but this will be like, oh, well, we're not sunsetting anything anymore. So, like...
Yeah, but I still think that, okay, we're not sunsetting anymore. We have to, unfortunately, let go of consoles at some point. That happened in Destiny 1 anyway, right? This is kind of, we have to think that this will come to no shock to anyone, hopefully. But I'm still thinking, hey, now that we don't have to sunset, we can bring back some stuff, because maybe, and they haven't really said what the engine updates are. Some of them we can see, some of them we can feel, so on and so forth, but they haven't really gone into details, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's still like, oh, are they moving towards server base instead of the current form that we have, right? And that means that things can change that in that regards too. But we'll see.
Also mentioned something that was along the lines of Dunes also mentioned something that was along the lines of, he's like, did they change the fabric texture packs?
They did.
And like recently with this expansion? Or with
I don't know if it's just expansion.
Okay.
I know that a lot of texture were changed with Beyond Light, and I feel like other changes were also done with Witch Queen. It feels to me that every big expansion, and now seasonally too, you kind of feel it. Every season that comes out, a lot of things are buggy, and I think it's related to engine updates.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. I don't know about the seasonal stuff, but through Beyond Light and Witch Queen, there was like a lot of different things that kind of you could feel without being like explicitly told that they were a thing. But which Beyond Light they mentioned it had a big engine update, and because of that they had a lot of textures update and lighting update. I mean, everybody felt it. I think they also did lighting update this season. Am I crazy? I feel like the lighting is closer to what Destiny 2 base game was than what Beyond Light was. Like, I feel like they toned down the lighting compared to what it used to be.
Unclear.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
It feels to me, but I mean, I could be wrong, but it's what it feels to me. Anyway, but yeah, they did a lot of updates in that regard.
Yeah. Okay, so move from updates. Now we move into the raid race coming this Friday, the 26th, King's Fall. It was confirmed. There was a lot of leaks over the weekend.
Oh yeah.
Dear God. It was like dodging a minefield. But yeah, so King's Fall will be the raid. We knew it was going to be like either that or Wrath. They pretty much had written out that Crota was going to be coming.
Yeah.
God.
What?
I know. I kept seeing tweets like every other day that it was Crota's End. So,
I blame Glad for that.
From one particular person, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was being indoctrinated to believe that was possible. So
yeah.
Oh my God. No, but I didn't play D1, so I'd never played that raid, right? But I also didn't play Vogue, and when Vogue came out, it was really cool for me to do that.
So this is your first experience running King's Fall?
King's Fall. It will be.
Awesome.
So I mean, I'm gonna watch a video just to kind of get a vague idea of how it works. I don't mind that type of quote unquote spoiler if you want. And I mean, knowing how Vogue went, at least for me and my team, there were still changes, and they said that there will be changes whenever they bring back old content. Yeah. Exactly, which is fine. I think it's a great idea.
Make it work with what we're capable of doing now with our Guardians.
Exactly.
And
it's an old raid, but with lots of new toys to play with.
Exactly.
That's fun to see them implemented in this landscape. I think particularly the conversations that I've had with my community are around Eager's Edge and how that's going to affect the jumping puzzles.
True. Stasis. Did you not see in the video?
They actually showed somebody using the stasis crystals on the PP wall.
Which, they've been showing us how to do that since Stasis first came out.
Yeah.
Which is funny, Bona, because I feel like no one does that.
No.
Not a lot of people do.
I've seen it a couple times in Crucible.
Yeah, they keep on trying to convince people to do it. I haven't seen a ton of utilization in the wild, but
you know who uses the stasis crystals for walls like that to kind of like a step? PvP players that are like at a certain level. I've seen PvP players use that, and people that oob. Yep. Other than that, nobody really does that.
Wait, what is oobing?
Out of
bounds. Out of bounds. Man,
so people that oob and people like, and some PvP players use that.
So only the Ubers there.
The Ubers and some PvP players. Like Sepper uses that when he's on Hunter, but other than that, nobody really uses the crystal to.
I don't.
But the new raid, the reprised raid. I think for me, a raid day is always so exciting. It's like Christmas morning.
Yes.
I definitely think there's a little bit of a differentiation between a reprised raid and a brand new raid. I see a reprised raid more so as who can speedrun this the fastest.
Oh yeah.
Yes, there's going to be some changes in the mechanics and hopefully like a lot of changes in the mechanics, but seeing how VOG went, we all know it's probably going to be about 90% the same. So if that's the case, to me, it's exciting to watch because I'm like, who's going to execute this flawlessly? Who's going to have the damage? Who's going to have the builds? Who's going to have the best, weapons? Like who's going to basically execute this perfectly? So that's exciting to watch, but it's a different experience in my opinion than watching somebody explore a day one race where it's about more problem solving and figuring things out and working together as a team. I still think in common you have that sort of dynamic, like who can keep the morale up after if you're going for hours, and then there's certain things that are in common, but I definitely see a reprise as kind of a different watching experience. But I feel like both have a lot to offer, and I'm really excited about the raid race. I think it's going to be fun.
What I like about reprised is that who finishes the raid first, but then who finishes the second run of it first. Yeah. Because the second run does include the problem solving, right? Because you have all of these kind of challenges that you have to do. So there's an upset of like, hey, here's a team that finished the regular raid or the regular run first. And then, okay, is that team going to be the same that finishes the challenge run first too?
Because don't think it was for Val, was it? It was a different team.
I believe so. Yeah. But it's this interesting thing because now they have to problem solve to like what is the challenge?
Well, the names are already out. If you go into like your I don't know, your triumphs or whatnot, you can actually see the names of the different challenges. So it's kind of fun to I don't know if you guys have done that yet, but it's kind of fun to go in there and look at them and just be like,
try to figure it out.
I definitely think some of them are going to be similar. I think for Gorgons, everyone's going to have to take the gaze for the challenge. But I would recommend if you're interested, go in and look at what like the list of the challenge names and check, especially if you're doing a day one, check it out early. Yeah. And then, because it's fun to speculate about it. We don't know until we get in there, but it's fun to speculate about.
I know a lot of people online were like, well, we all knew it was going to be Kingsfall when it leaked. And for me, it didn't seem that plain just because Wrath seemed like it was the one that was designed more for a kinetic raid build philosophy than what Kingsfall was, especially with like the way that the raids that we have now in the game. And so
yeah, I agree. It's definitely a more modern raid than Kingsfall.
Yeah. So I was anticipating Wrath, but like I wonder what they're going to have to change it for the way that we're able to move.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the jumping puzzles. Yeah.
So either that or they just keep they
just like
the
heck with it, break it and have fun, because there's so many sections you can skip now, like with the Eager's Edge and such. Are they going to put like no walls in there? Like what are they going to do?
No walls.
No walls. No.
You've been a bad little guardian.
Wait until two seasons later and we're able to skip it with Strand.
Yeah, that's the other part, right?
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
Well, right,
I'm thinking they may
break
put Invis
even more. Yeah, exactly.
And I think Invis walls might become a thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
Soft kills and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. You're like going through the jumping puzzle and you're like, I'm dead. I have chosen the wrong boat.
Exactly. It'll be interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah. I'm excited to see if that's the case. Yeah.
I'll be watching it from work.
Oh.
I'll be cheering on all you guys going into it. I know Seth, you and Mal are on a team together.
Yep.
Who is filling out the rest of your team?
We have some common friends, Blue Flake, we have Dovagoat, we have Zeph and Blaine, which is a newer friend of ours, and an old friend of mine that came back to the game fairly recently, Chiaro. Okay. So that's pretty much our team. We'll be starting a bit late because I have to work, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm sad.
Going
I'm hoping that
completion.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Bungie is kind of like the same that they did with WoW and be like, oh, it started on Friday, we'll do a 48 hours. I don't count on it, but I'm hoping that they will, but we'll see.
I think they're doing it on Friday to avoid that, right?
Yeah, precisely.
I mean, yeah.
Although the 48, it was really good, actually.
Yeah. I think it should become
healthy.
A thing.
You say that,
exactly.
but I was
That's why.
I was at the boss for over 24 hours, so
oh, boom.
I was like,
well, good for
why
you.
have I done
with
this?
that, though. Yeah.
I think they should make it a thing now. It's like, because no matter who wins the world's first, they're still going to win the world's first anyway. Right. So why does it matter if it's 48 hours or 24 hours? Like, what's
because
the difference,
gatekeeping,
really?
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, okay, yes, but can we like try not to make that a thing? But we'll see. But yeah, that's our team.
Yeah. Bana, I know you're going in. Who's your team?
I just announced that I have pulled out of my team. So, just because I had surgery to break away from the whole conversation. I had surgery last week, so I'm currently sort of keeping my sort of leg up and just recovering at the moment, and I can't see myself sitting there for a long period of time. So to give the team the best chance at finishing in a good length of time, they're going to hit it up. But there is good friends like Haterade, Starkiller, good friends of mine who will be sort of heading up that team. And maybe I might try and get like a sneaky sort of boss clear later on Saturday, but we'll see.
It's like, hey, let me in there.
Get save it. We'll see. But I'll be starting guides up sort of straight away and helping peeps get their first clears. I'm a bit of a hoarder of first cherries and everything. So
the forbidden V word.
Oh my lord!
Stop.
So, I mean, you have to sacrifice.
It's like Cult of the Lamb in Destiny.
Oh my god! No, we're not bringing that up
every time.
I had to sacrifice Tiddly. I needed Tiddly.
Oh no!
You reached the ripe old age.
Listen, she lived a good life.
Yeah, you did. You made it to old age, and I sacrificed you, and everyone rejoiced.
Listen,
I'm gonna have to.
I'm glad that my death brought people joy. I am.
Exactly, and then we ate you.
Because
that's how I would like it to be with my cats, also.
Oh my god, Tiddly.
Okay.
Tiddly, are you going in on day one?
I am watching with like 20 to 30 tabs open if my computer lets me. I just root for so many people who are going in, so I always like ask people, and then I open up 80,000 tabs, and then we order pizza and watch some of it on the couch. Like it's just it's an event. It's just so much fun. I have plans to go in on Saturday morning and hopefully get a 24-hour clear.
Hell yeah.
So that would be amazing. I've done it before. I love this raid. It'd be fun to get 24 hours, but either way, I'm probably going to get a week one clear and really just enjoy it when I go in. So, I'm so excited. It's just so much fun waking up and having a raid race. So it's going to be great.
I agree.
I agree. I think I'm going to be tuning into a couple of the outside of like the friends who are playing and who are going for it. I think I'm going to watch some of the tailgates, because like reprise raids feel like the perfect time to watch the tailgates.
Oh yeah, I agree. I
just
agree.
a celebration. But whereas like when it's new stuff, it's just like, okay, what are they doing there?
Yeah, you try to understand, and it's like, oh my god, what is happening?
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Just like peek around the corner,
all those symbols, and you were like, I am so confused.
Yeah.
There's a sphincter and a.
Wait, why are they describing it as hot girl summer? What does that even mean?
Definitely.
Well, I think.
Wait.
Yes.
New dungeon, season 19.
New dungeon is coming in season 19.
Ooh,
That's one of those last few things that we didn't talk about.
And then that will be obviously there's no more subclasses to do a 3.0 on, so it's more of a sort of tidy up season. They've said, isn't it?
Yes,
it's balancing before
Lightfall.
Lightfall comes along.
Calling it. It's going to be Crota. It's going to be a dungeon.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad about that. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be a really cool thing.
Glad was finally right.
Somewhat.
Exactly.
So, like, kind of like Seth, I didn't play D1, but I was given the opportunity to go back and play the D1 raids.
Yeah.
And
so
the only one
you got the Triumph ones.
Yeah. So, like, I did all that stuff, and Crota was just so stupidly easy. We went in there with just 5 people, and we're like, hop on over. I got my sword. Here's my plate. Now we go to the Oversoul. Okay, we good. Hello, Crota. Oh, you got 5 Guardians coming up on you with a sword? Heh. We're done. That was literally how it felt. I was like, this is stupid.
That was a beautiful reenactment. I applaud you. I particularly liked the
I definitely
noises.
wasn't laughing.
I would see that.
Oh my god.
I would see that like on stage.
Yeah, I think it should be acted out.
I think you should
wait until once I do Wrath and then Crota, it's just me just going. Hold on.
God.
Ball.
Exactly.
And then we all just okay.
Move around again. Oh my god.
When I tell you stuff, it's aesthetically, King's Fall is an amazing raid.
Yes.
But if you wanted opening Crown of Sorrows in a whole ass raid, you got it.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't mind it. I'm one of the rare people that didn't mind Crown of Sorrow, like the opening. And Crown of Sorrow is one of my favorite raids, right? I would love for it to come back somehow, but I didn't mind it. Yeah, it took a long, it took a minute, but I didn't care about that. So side note, talking about like the opening and everything, there is currently a B-roll on the press room on the Bungie website that kind of showcases the locations of King's Fall. For people that are interested in kind of looking at what King's Fall looks like in Destiny 2 engine and graphics and texture and whatnot. It's pretty pretty. So that'll be interesting. But okay, that's good to know. Okay, we're gonna do Crown of Sorrow first encounter through a whole raid. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you're gonna be standing a lot. I feel.
However,
probably
it's still aesthetically the raid is pleasing. Like
it does look beautiful.
You will enjoy it because War Priest is good.
War Priest
is good.
Golgoroth is
but like
great.
it's still stand here. But okay. It's like
okay,
it's
Old
unfortunate with that, but it's still good.
I feel like they're gonna have to change that though. They have to change that for our movement. Like,
well, and also invisibility.
We'll see.
I think invisibility is going to be so strong. I'm thinking
I don't care. I'm just going to throw a javelin and just say fuck off.
Yeah. You know, remember the person that had to stand and look at the pillars to see the order?
Yeah.
You used to have to actually try to stay alive, and it was hard. Yep. Now you can just go and be invisible permanently as a hunter. You know,
or just pop a well.
Oh yeah, they may have changed that. The well. Pop a well.
I think I got to the
but
point
it's
where
just different. It's just different.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. VoG changed, but didn't change that much. So is it like, are they going to change that many things, or are they going to keep it? It's more like, here's a nostalgia raid. I see like Vault of Glass and King's Fall and like all of these old D1 raids as a quote unquote, and I do say quote unquote, nostalgia raid. They're bringing them back in for everybody to enjoy. Don't get me wrong, but it's more like it's a lot of nostalgia for the D1 players or people that did play those raids, right? And they're not there to be extremely difficult. They're there to be enjoyable. if that makes sense, right? So I think that bringing them back very similar to what they used to be in D1 is a good gamble, because it's more like, hey, you never played D1, I did. Let me bring you through this raid that I really enjoyed back then. And it's not there to be like the most incredible in-game content in terms of difficulty, but it's there to be end-game content in terms of enjoyment and fun and sharing experiences. I think raids have kind of shifted from being end-game content difficulty-wise, and to be more like enjoyable and like moments you can share with your friends and with people you know, and even with new players and people that you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're going with.
So I think I'm going to start doing this at the end of every panel before we ask everybody to give their links and everything. I'm going to start giving out commendations. So to Mal, I'm gonna say indispensable. Indispensable is a good one. Seth, you get level-headed.
Okay, I'll take it.
Bana.
Smells nice.
I'm giving you perceptive. How's that sound?
I like it.
All right, cool.
Okay.
And Tiddly, Joybringer.
Yeah.
I agree with that one.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
So if everybody can go in line and tell everybody where they can find you on the internet, that would be wonderful.
What are we starting with?
Mal, rip off the Band-Aid.
All right. My name's Mal Nightingale. You can find me at Twitter, Twitch.com, and YouTube.
Seth?
I mainly am on Twitter. You can also find me on Twitch. I haven't been streaming for a while, but I'm planning on coming back at some point in this year. We'll see about that. But mainly on Twitter right now. I also hang out in a lot of different streams by just being in voice chat with people, so you can see me there also. But Twitter under the same name as Aoife. And that's pretty much it.
Bana, what about you?
Bonafide hero. Just how it's sounded on every single platform. Just like that. The hero is an I in 7E. So come say hi.
Oh, yeah. And Tiddly.
Yeah, it is twitch.tv/Tiddly. I'm live Monday through Friday, 9:00 Central or so. I'm on Twitter at the Tiddlywinks. Unfortunately, Tiddly is taken.
Gone.
Gonzos. Literally has never tweeted ever. When I found the account, they had one follower. Guess who that follower was?
You.
Barack Obama. I am not even kidding.
Hold on, I'm going right now.
Obama is following Tiddly. I will never ever get that account on Twitter, and I'm mad about it. But so anyway, the Tiddlywinks on Twitter. But you can find me on stream.
I just found out that the Danfinity on Twitter is followed by Joe Manchin.
Oh
so
no!
I've got a chance.
Sorry, friend.
I've got a chance.
Well, I think you're in better shape than Barack Obama for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my god, it's ridiculous.
Hey,
it's in similar plights.
That's it.
I know.
What about you, Dan? Where can we find you?
My name's Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Danfinity, where the eyes are else, and 3 days a week on twitch.tv/Danfinity, helping folks around the community with in-game PvE content. Would love to see you in chat. If you want to support the channel and various projects in your feed, you can donate to the KoFi at ko-fi.com/Danfinity and or rate and review on your podcast platform of choice. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you find what you're grinding for.